This video is about doing visuals about food in a way that, tells your brain that it's safe by giving messages of safety. Let's say you're holding a tomato, right? Like if I took a bite of a tomato, I'd have bloody diarrhea for 3 weeks. Okay. So when I started training on foods, what I used to do is Valley. All right, hold on. I remember I used to, I had a big jug of tomato juice that I had in my driver's seat, and I had like a couple pieces of foods. I had like an egg in a bag, or a fucking tomato or whatever, and I would, do rounds about them. Picture myself eating pizza or eating an egg or a tomato, because I was sensitive to 99% of the foods. I only had 2 safe foods, so I wanted to train them in. So that's what I was told in the program that I was running. And they're like, yeah, just visualize the food and then hold the food in your hand, sending messages of safety of this food. And then I would be like, all right, so I've been saying safe messages about this food for a month, right? This tomato. I was holding it in my hand, and I had the juice. Like I would see a big jug of juice, and I would just smell it. Oh, it smells so good. Oh yeah, that reminds me of the time when I go into a round, right? I take a little sip of the juice or a bite of the tomato, and then I would be in a full out fucking flare for 3 weeks with bloody diarrhea. And I'm like, but I was sending messages of safety. How is this not? What is going on here, right? It didn't work. And what I remember now, the only way I could get foods back in was to be patient and not focus on telling my brain that it's safe. Because what I did is I had a list of foods that were safe and a list of foods that weren't safe. So I was just reaffirming that there's an unsafe list, that there is perceived danger, and to turn on, leave the alarms on. And with me training on foods or sending messages of safety, the brain was just like, you could be just talking about paint drying. It's all the same to me. I don't care what you repeat 1,000 times, or these messages of safety mean nothing to me. I was holding it, I was smelling it, I was like putting it to my chest and going, this is safe. This will rejuvenate me. This is healthy. This is delicious. I love the deliciousness of this tomato. Right? Every day, for a month, I would do a different food, of course, to the eggs or whatever, the smell, I'd get right into it. I would do a round, whatever, and nothing changed, right? If anything, it put more focus on, why am I holding an egg in my hand? Why am I kissing this tomato? Why do I have a jug of tomato juice in my driver's seat? The brain's going, and this guy's acting weird. He's like talking to these food, he's talking to produce like it's his buddy. Like, I don't understand. Let's keep the alarms on. He's acting like a weirdo, right? And it's true. I was turning it into an event. I was bringing up the idea that, hey, I'm talking to this food because this food is dangerous. So the brain's like, yeah, keep the alarms on. The perceived danger we had about this food must be correct because he keeps talking to it. He's putting it on a pedestal. He's putting a lot of energy and thought into these foods. Like, all of a sudden now he's talking about visuals with foods. Like, this is getting a little too much. And what I also notice is I had to be patient. In time, my brain's baseline, my baseline would drop down. There would be less alarms, and eventually foods would start to come in. So at the end of the day, it wasn't the visuals about the food. It was being patient, and eventually the brain allowed the foods to come in. right? And the second part to that, the big 60% to that was not sending messages of safety about the food, but sitting in the danger of the food with exposure and allowing the messages of danger to be sent to me and allowing them to be, and responding with leaning in towards it. If I have a flare, dragging out the flare, right? Not running to safe foods, not letting the what if thoughts of the foods trigger me by training on it with exposure. The more I exposed myself to the what if thoughts to the foods, I became indifferent to the foods. Hold on, Chloe. Oh, I called you Chloe. That's my old dog. Dolly Dollarama. Hold on. So now that I think and look back, I think training on the foods when it comes to doing the visuals and holding the foods and putting my focus on them didn't do anything. It was sitting in the danger of the foods with the what if thoughts about the foods, exposing myself to the danger when it comes to the mental alarms and the physical alarms, reactions that I had. The response that I gave during those times is what allowed these foods to be in. Plus, bringing my baseline down over time, right? When you bring your baseline down over time, you turn off alarms with exposure and sending the right response. That's when the body was like, okay, we can allow these foods back in. They're safe. Not because I was forcing a message of safety by holding a tomato or a banana, right? Going, you're safe, you're safe, you're safe. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Drawing little faces with a smiley face on an egg. Like, you're safe, buddy. You and me are best friends. Come on, man. Like, that doesn't do anything. I think it was a waste of time, but I'm happy that I did it because I got to see what worked and what didn't work. Right? Putting so much attention on the foods that were perceived as danger just reaffirmed that they're dangerous, so the brain kept the alarms on. So I could be holding a banana or an egg or a tomato for a month in my hand and trying to visualize that it's safe, for a month, and then I go to eat it and I'd go into a massive flare. So how much effort and time did I spend doing that when I could have just had patience, brought my baseline down, did the exposure, allowed my what if thoughts and symptoms to be there, and asked for more, dragged out my symptoms. What? You want to go outside? Like I did. Allow. You're funny. Hey, give me a second. Holy. By me allowing the symptoms to be there and dragging them out as long as I could, this was like an 8-month long process, right? And not running to my safe foods and not running to feel better and avoiding the foods, at actually sitting in the shit show of it, right? And being indifferent to the fear of it. When you're like, meh, yeah, I'm gonna flare. Meh, I'm still living life. Meh, it's gonna happen tomorrow. And then you actually become comfortable with these symptoms, right? The stinky farts, the gas and the pressure and the bloody diarrhea. When you're like, yeah, this is just like another Tuesday, living life. When you get to that point, eventually, everything lifts. And I didn't have to send messages of safety because the brain doesn't care. He's like, what are you doing, buddy? I don't care. It doesn't mean anything. Sit in the danger and tell me you're okay. Then I'll believe you. Right? Let's see you eat that. Oh, yeah? Look, you got gas. Yeah, but I'm okay with it. I love it. Yeah? Okay, I'll turn that alarm off. You're good, buddy. Thanks, bro. High five.